you will.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a special Halloween episode of the
GEEK Buddies.
We
never planned that ahead of time. That is not a rehearsed. Never know quite what's going to happen.
It's like that SNL sketch where they're just trying to finish each other's words. I love that one. We got so much going on here today. Thank you so much. Hope you all are having a fun Halloween or about to have a fun Halloween, depending on what some of y'all are doing, especially you younger people going out there and having fun with your parties. It's going to be a lot. Or people still trying to hold on to their youth, going out their parties. The rest of us are going to be sitting at home handing out candy.
For those of us that didn't move to the suburbs and are going to sit inside their house and not give kids candy, the rest of us are going to have a fun weekend.
We are totally setting up. We're giving candy this year. We love to give candy. That's the only time we talk to our neighbors when we give candy out on Halloween, to be honest.
You're not helping your case.
I'm just saying. I like it now. But yeah, so we got so much to get into here today. We're going to talk. It's a very Halloween themed episode. We're going to get into reviews for Frankenstein, spoiler reviews for Frankenstein, and Welcome to Derry episode 1. So we know that episode 2 came out today. We didn't get a chance to watch it, so we're just going to talk about episode 1, what we feel about the show and where it's at. We're also going to get into some trailers and talk a little Nintendo news as well. But let's introduce ourselves first. I am John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies.
I am Michael Vogel, a writer, producer of animated TV shows, movies, and video games.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor. And if you were following me on Instagram this week, you'll find out that movie I auditioned for and was penned for, I am booked for.
Yeah.
It's a Halloween miracle.
I liked your Insta story too, Shannon. It showed me that you can take different pictures of yourself in front of a white background and post them on social media. It would be fascinating to get those pictures that I've been asking from both of you for well over 2 years. So if you guys can find yourselves in front of widescreen again, please take as many pictures as possible. I would like them here for the show. Thank you.
To be technical, that was a still from my audition. So I didn't actually take a picture. That was a still that I clipped out of a video. So
fine, I'll allow it. All right, but let's get into things here as we jump into the world of entertainment. Let's talk about this. This is kind of a big one that Michael sent across to us here. This tweet from my partner in crime here, My Time to Shine. Hello. We've traded scoops in the past before, so I always like to give them a little bit of credit here with their stuff. They got a scoop here saying that Illumination and Nintendo are planning a shared cinematic universe for Mario and Friends. A Donkey Kong movie is already in active development, while Luigi's Mansion and a Princess Peach spinoff, Princess Peach, are also in the works. They're aiming to introduce more Nintendo characters through their own films, all leading up to a massive Super Smash Brothers movie event. Michael, we've kind of been by the way, for those of you listening, Michael is wearing now a what's his name? What's the character's name? Shannon there? Toad's hat there. But Michael, we've been exhausted by universes and shared universes. Tell me why this one is going to work, and what are your thoughts on the possibility of it happening?
Is it going to work? Who knows? I think I tweeted this. I'm not a fan of the Super Mario Brothers movie per se. I don't think it's great. I think it falls into that Illumination trap of being a movie that is a bunch of bits that are strung together by the loosest of stories, and it doesn't quite satisfy, but it made $1 billion because despite that, people love Super Mario. People love this universe. People have grown up with this universe through all of the various games that have come out. Yeah. And when you look at the success of the Super Mario Nintendo section of Universal and Epic Universe, like there's definitely a huge, huge fan base here.
Right.
And I will say that when I read the news that they were going to spin off the Super Mario Brothers movie and then the sequel that's coming out into a bunch of other movies, despite my kind of general dislike of the first one, I got excited. And that pretty much is the proof that this is a good idea. I think what makes it a good idea is in the world of shared universes, Nintendo's been doing this for years. Like every single one of these characters is beloved.
Yeah.
If you love Luigi, you got Luigi's Mansion. Donkey Kong has had his own series of games. Like Princess Peach has her fans. Daisy, like you could just go down the list of Mario characters and you go down the list of unlockable characters that you can race when you're playing Mario Kart, and everybody has a favorite, and there's just such a expansive universe. And I think where Nintendo and Mario have it a little bit over, say, DC or Marvel or Star Wars, is that DC, Marvel, and Star Wars fans take their universes very seriously. If you get something wrong, boy, do you hear about it online. Nintendo, that's a pretty elastic universe. Like, no. Can you have a game come out where Mario and everybody turn into elephants? Sure. Are people into it? They love it. So I think this has a chance to just be a little bit more of a fun and irreverent world. And I also think that as often as we have seen shared universes, we haven't seen a ton of shared universes in animation. And I think animation sort of draws, I think people have a little bit more of that suspension of disbelief. Let's just go on this fun ride in animation. So I think there's a lot of pros here. And even when you look at the success of Mario Kart or the success of Smash Brothers, where Nintendo has taken a bunch of characters and tossed them together, it's already sort of proven out that everyone likes seeing these characters interact with each other. So there's a bunch of reasons to go, this is a very, very smart idea. The only reason that I would have hesitation is my general feelings about Illumination storytelling as a studio, but I'm not going to let that get in the way of my excitement or anyone else's excitement for seeing more characters in the Nintendo universe get their own movies.
Fair enough. Shannon, what are your thoughts on this? Do you agree with a lot of what Michael says, or do you see it differently in how they're approaching a possible universe here based off one movie that was successful? There's no guarantee the second movie is going to be successful.
It's going to be successful.
Right. But I think at this point, like when you look at the audiences, and granted, these are older audiences, when you look at the audience that came out of David Ayer's Suicide Squad, or if you look at a healthy chunk of the MCU audience that came out of Multiverse of Madness, those movies made a lot of money. In general, now I know I'm going to get lit up in the comments because a lot of people like Multiverse of Madness, but in general, a lot of folks came out of those movies going like, yeah, they made a lot of money. But the audiences as a whole were not entirely satisfied. Now, I think the three of us came out of the Super Mario Brothers movie and we're like, it was, it's a pretty movie and it was fine. But I think younger audiences came out of that and they loved it. So I think doubling down on the success of this movie financially, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
As Vogel already put, will it be successful? We'll see. I mean, I think the what is the sequel called? The Super Mario Brothers
Mario Galaxy?
Yeah, I like that movie is going to be successful. Like it'll be interesting to see that the younger audiences that were in the theaters for Super Mario Brothers movie, as they start to get older, are they going to lose interest in the franchise? Is the franchise going to be able to get newer, younger audience members? And seeing that Mario as a franchise has been around for decades, historically, it seems like they're probably going to do it.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of what does a Princess Peach spinoff look like? What does a Luigi's Mansion look like? I mean, Luigi's Mansion, the haunted mansion idea, that sounds like a great idea for like an episode of a TV show. Will that sustain a 90-minute, 2-hour movie? We'll see. But as Vogel already said,
people don't like ghost stories in movies.
Okay. Calm down, Mushroom Cap. But the idea that like canonically, is Donkey Kong typically associated with go-karts outside of Mario Kart? I didn't think so, but people really latched onto that idea from the first Super Mario Brothers movie. So it seems like there is nothing but potential here. But as Vogel already put, certain studios traditionally don't always have the strongest story sense. Now, you can make the argument that Pixar has kind of lost their way in the last few years, but the base of what made that studio so successful was their storytelling. Now, granted, there are huge fans out there of the Minions and Despicable Me who think those movies are fantastic. I don't particularly, vibe with them, but they are very, very successful. So it'll just be interesting to see, like, if the audience that grows with the movie, if they're going to be as invested as they become actual consumers.
So first of all, I want to clarify something. I love
John loves the Super Mario Brothers movie.
I do. When Shannon said we could walk that's pretty. I am a fan of the Super Mario Brothers movie, and I'm not even a person who's played the game. Like other people played the game. I played it maybe once or twice my entire life. So I love the movie. I think it was great.
How did you play it once or twice in your entire life?
Because I'm older than you guys, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And that was a child.
You came over to my college apartment and played that goddamn wrestling game on Nintendo for hours and hours and hours, and you didn't play a Mario game?
No, I mean, one is children, one is men. Anyway, the thing is, for me, I was blown away by them. I really had a great time with the movie. And Jack Black, you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of Jack Black all the time. I thought he was great in the film and the song. I love the song. So the idea that they're going to do universes makes a lot of sense, right? Because there's so many stories to tell. But in doing research for the topic today, I was really surprised that there are also possible legal issues that might come up about who created the characters. Will they be properly compensated? How will this all be done? So I didn't even know that was a possible issue. I thought it was all just under the banner and they get to do what they want, kind of like Stan Lee, so to speak. And so I'm going to be curious to see how they're working this stuff out, because people are mentioning what in the article it gets mentioned, like Pikachu is a possibility on this, Star Fox, Metroid Samus. So again, I don't know too much about this stuff. So to me, I'm looking at all these other things that they're going to have to figure out as they go forward. But for me, I'm excited about it because, as you said, Michael, plasticity allows the fans to calm down and let creators create and see what they can do. Because too much nowadays, people are judging before shit even comes out, and that doesn't allow for the creative vision to be seen fully initially and then judged on its merit. So I like this idea. I just hope it works out, because I just wonder how many people they've got who are going to be able to be successful to pull this off. I'm just curious.
Yeah. But I do think, I mean, look, from a business proposition, if I was running a studio and somebody was like, should we spin off the Mario movie into a bunch of movies and make a bunch of them? I'd be like, yes, we should absolutely do that. On the legal thing, this is where people need to set expectations a little bit. When they come out and say, we're going to build to some epic Smash Brothers type thing, it doesn't mean every character that has shown up in Smash Brothers is all of a sudden going to be in there. Maybe they go make a deal for Pikachu and Star Fox, but even within the Nintendo banner, we have a live action Zelda movie coming out, not an animated movie coming out. I don't know that we're all of a sudden going to throw animated Link in there. Maybe we will. So I do think when they say Smash Brothers, there's a bunch of characters that they can include. And then there's other characters that might be problematic. They might go down that Who Framed Roger Rabbit road and just say, fuck it, we're going to pay for it, and we're going to get all these deals done, and we're going to go absolutely batshit insane. Or it might be a more contained Smash. We'll see.
Well, and I do want to say something. You talk about Illumination, Michael, but Illumination has been pretty successful with their franchise.
100%.
Right?
So
Minions, The Grinch, Secret Life of Pets, I thought was really good as well. And and then the Super Mario Brothers. So
there are things that as people who talk about movies all day and as being an executive and working on shows and working on projects, there are things you don't like because you're like, that was a mistake. They messed up. I don't like them. They're horrible. Right. And when a movie totally bombs, everybody wants to figure out why it bombed. There are other movie franchises or movie studios where you're like, this is not my vibe, but I can't deny the success. When I say I'm not the biggest fan of Illumination storytelling, me and my friends are going out as Minions tonight for Halloween, so I must not hate it that much. Like, I think the Despicable Me movies, in my personal opinion, and the Minions movies could all be better than they are, but I can't deny, that when they're funny, they're very funny, and I certainly can't deny that they do really well. Like, there is an audience for these movies. So in the case of Illumination, when I say it's not my bag, it's not my bag, but I can't deny the fact that they clearly work. And even with the Mario movie, like Shannon, I'm more on the Shannon train than the Rocha train. That is because I actually played video games as a child. And but like
Pong was a video game, okay?
But again, I think part of the reason that I'm kind of excited about the proposition of all these spin-off movies is, as much as I personally feel like that there's a better story and a stronger, tighter story for a Super Mario Brothers movie out there, I cannot deny how gorgeous it looked. I cannot deny that there were parts that were really fun. And as a fan of Mario, just seeing that universe realized was exciting. As a storyteller in my own right, I'm like, yeah, you could have done this and you could have done this and made it stronger. But yeah, I'm not gonna go argue with Chris Meledandri about his process. It's clearly working for him.
No doubt. All right, so we'll see. And by the way, this was just a report, so it's not official from Nintendo. It wasn't an official announcement, but my time to shine. Hello, she gets it right a lot of the time. So, all right, so we'll see what happens. Shannon, let's get into the world of trailers. What do you got for us, man?
We got trailers. And speaking of animation, we're going to talk about a different animation studio. This is the stop motion animated studio of Laika with a trailer, behind the scenes look, semi-history of the studio, 2-minute glimpse at Wildwood. So this one is based off of a novel by Carson Ellis and Colin Malloy. This one is about the adventures of Prue McKeel as she sets off to the forest outside Portland to find her kidnapped brother, which the Laika Studios are also out of Oregon as well. Again, for you podcast listeners, Vogel's bag today is he is switching hats in between each topic.
But you got to have a lot of Halloween costumes. It's Halloween.
But this trailer, I mean, it was interesting looking at kind of taking us through the history of Laika. I mean, they kind of came onto the scene really with Coraline. And that, as far as like general audiences go. And, Coraline, I think, was pretty successful. They have a few movies in the middle that were okay. Like, I think when you look at the world of stop motion, I mean, this is kind of a dying art form. So the fact that this studio's sole purpose is stop motion animation is awesome. I think some of their storytelling, it's not the strongest. I think Paranorman was like a great idea that didn't necessarily translate to the screen. Box Trolls, I didn't totally get. But then came Kubo and the Two Strings, directed by Travis Knight, which was fantastic. And now the idea of this story, Wildwood, with an incredible voice cast headed by Angela Bassett, but it also includes Jacob Tremblay, Carey Mulligan, Mahershala Ali, Awkwafina, Jake Johnson, Charlie Day, Jermaine Clement, Tom Waits, Maya Erskine. This is a stacked cast. So as our animation fiend and the wearer of many hats, Mikey, what did you think of our first look, behind the scenes look, story look at Wildwood?
I get really excited anytime Laika's doing something. I don't disagree with Shannon that not all of their movies are great. I think I like Paranorman more than he does, but definitely agree that Kubo and the Two Strings is maybe the peak of what they've been able to accomplish from just storytelling, movie, beauty, all of the things. What's really cool about Laika is they don't want to make typical movies. Like, I had a meeting with their development team a while back just to talk about some ideas, and they are never resting on their laurels. They're like, we don't want to make the typical stop motion movie. We don't want to make a movie that feels right for stop motion. We don't want to make a movie that is the stop motion version of something that Disney or Pixar or DreamWorks would do. They are constantly trying to push the envelope of the types of stories that they can tell in stop motion. And so this epic fantasy story feels like something where they are really trying to push the limits of what you can tell. Shannon's right. Stop motion is a dying art form. Like, every holiday season, we all roll out the old Rudolph and Isle of Misfit Toys and all those movies. And of course, everybody loves Nightmare Before Christmas. But aside from those movies that we sort of hold up as classics, this is not a thing that is big aside from Laika. So I really appreciate the fact that they're constantly trying to push it. And whenever they're doing something, even the movies that I don't love, like Box Trolls, I can't deny that they, from an animation and a technical standpoint, are super, super impressive. Now, as far as like the tone of this version, I mean, kid going to an epic fantasy world to sort of heal themselves from some kind of real life trauma that they're dealing with is pretty much my bread and butter in every story that I read as a kid. So the idea that they're going into this epic fantasy world and Angela Bassett is playing this mighty guardian eagle, like, they basically got my money already. It's going to be a while. I don't think it comes out until 2026. 26? It is 26?
It says expected in 2026. So sure. Maybe in a year.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I'm always really, really excited about anything that they're going to do.
Now, Johnny, are you a Laika fan? Does this look like Wildwood or does it look like Mildwood?
Oh, God.
God, there it is. No, Laika's always, to me, it's like Laika's like the how can I say this? Like the art house version of animation. And so you kind of go like, yeah, this is going to be, I need to pay this all my attention, right? Like, I can mess around on my phone watching a Super Mario Brothers movie, but on Laika, I really need to pay attention. There's some really strong emotional stories being told here and some incredible art being done with their style of animation. And I liked Paranorman as well. I thought that was a fun movie. Yeah, Box Trolls.
Yeah, Shannon. Yeah, Shannon.
Box Trolls, In and Out, and Kubo and the Two Strings. I agree with Shannon. That was absolutely fantastic film. I really enjoyed it. And what was the first one you mentioned, Shannon, that I didn't think about?
Coraline.
Coraline, yes. Coraline, that was one that Matt Nost convinced me to watch on the Top 10 show because he was a massive fan of Coraline. So I finally ended up watching that a couple of years after we started our show and really enjoyed that as well. This looks fantastic. It really looks great. And all I could think of, to be honest with you, because of where we are in the world, is watching these amazing craftsmen do what they're doing and the amount of time that they're doing, and think to myself, this is a dying art. This is going to be replaced by AI at some point. And it is heartbreaking when I watch this now because of what's going on. So I want to appreciate it even more. I want to savor it and cherish it even more, because this is the kind of stuff that you really value when you're watching behind the scenes featurettes on these kinds of movies, how much work actually goes in and how much technical precision, especially for me, someone who's not a hands artist. Like, I'm a terrible drawer. I can't do any of that stuff. So, but watching other people who are so great at it, I just have nothing but respect for their meticulousness and their approach. I have to say, I did find myself smirking a little bit about the fantasy world of Portland. I just was like, wait, I'm thinking as a Portlandia fan, I was thinking to myself, what is going to be in these animals? It's going to have some, or these creatures, going to have some Portland references.
Well,
so hold on.
on.
It's just where I went in my head. I'm not saying that's what but I'm just saying,
the Pacific Northwest is one of the remaining most naturally beautiful, with more nature than most of the rest of the country.
The Lady Outlaw has
it's not just Portland.
From what I hear, Portland's burning to the ground. But anyway, the Lady Outlaw has a number of family members who live in Portland. We visited Portland a couple of years ago for a wedding. Yeah, I love it. It's a great place. In my head, I just thought to myself, what kind of creatures are going to show up? But the animation here looks great.
The frogs that are protesting, they're going to show up.
Exactly. Everything that you saw here, creatures-wise, I thought was great. And the scene with her and Angela Bassett, like when she's like, I'm used to flying outside the plane. I thought that was a really sweet moment between them as well. But I do have to say something, and you guys might get mad at me on this. We'll see. But it says here, Academy Award winner Angela Bassett. Now, she was given an Academy Award by the governor. So I think saying winner is my issue here. She wasn't up against other people to get the Oscar. They gave her the Oscar like they do at all these award shows where they pick someone out who's an honorary recipient. So a little bit of false advertising there. But other than that, I thought this was great. And I love that Angela is doing
I hope that you are given an honorary award one day.
No.
Just so that I can say, well, you didn't really win it.
Yes.
And watch how you respond.
And I'll say, yes, I didn't win it. They gave it to me.
No, sir.
but
oh, buddy.
The reason I bring it up is because Angela Bassett should have been a winner, should have won for Black Panther 2, and should have won for What's Love Got to Do with It. No one talks about Holly Hunter's performance in the piano. They talk about what she did, or even and Emma Thompson in Remains of the Day. Those are the two performances you talk about from that year. So she deserved it. So calling her a winner, I think, is a little, but I get it. I mean, you want to respect the queen. She's an amazing actress. So, but yeah, this is great.
You writing this down?
Yeah, fine. Clip this.
10 years from now, honorary podcasting award. Us all at a party. Yeah. Well, Rocha didn't really win an award. He was just given an award.
You're right.
Just mark it now.
If they had said Academy Award recipient,
yes, done. No problem.
You would have been
no problem. No problem. I'd have been
it doesn't roll off the tongue the way Academy Award winner does.
Winner implies you beat people out for it. And the thing is, I don't know that they select people for the governor's award. But all right, anyway, for honorary Oscars, anyway.
Mm-hmm. That
being said, this was fantastic. So
yeah. In any case, Wildwood is expected in 2026. That brings us to our next movie because we're kicking it in. It's the last day of spooky season of 2025. We got our first look at Scream 7. So this one had an interesting journey, went through a bit of a creative overhaul with Jenna Ortega, Melissa Barrera, and the directors of Scream 5 and Scream 6 leaving, but Kevin Williamson, the original screenwriter, came back, and also who's back? Nev Campbell, Sidney Prescott. This one is about her and her daughter. They found a nice little town. Ghostface comes calling again. Johnny, what did you think of our first look at Scream 7?
Yeah, my reaction's up on the channel. I loved it. I thought it was a really good trailer. I'm not a Scream person, so for me, I go in going, "Am I going to enjoy these? Yes or no?" 5 and 6 were fine. A lot of Scream fandom were upset at those movies. They were fine, perfectly watchable films. I don't expect much from the Scream franchise. Sorry, guys, but I watched this trailer. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I like the opening kill. I thought that was inventive and funny. I like him banging on the walls to see where the hollow is before he starts stabbing. There's the little things like that. And Neve Campbell looks fantastic. Holy God, man. She's so great in the look. She was ready for this. Courtney Cox coming in was great as well. Sad we didn't see David Arquette. I know he's coming back in some form. And then ending with Stu's line, giving us an idea of what Matthew Lillard, or if it's someone connected to Matthew Lillard from the world of Scream that is under that mask. But the overall story, this idea that this has been going on for a long time and I'm getting my final revenge and I'm burning it to the ground. I like that this was like straightforward dark and this wasn't like, let's make cutesy references. So for me, it sold me to go see this approach. And it felt like they evoked the best of the original film, the first film, while still making it feel modern with the cell phones and all of that. So, yeah.
Now, Mikey, I know you were a fan of the direction the Scream franchise was heading. Is the exits of Jenna Ortega, Melissa Barrera, is that going to keep you out of the theater? Or are you excited to see Neve Campbell back in all of her Ghostface killing glory?
I mean, look, I'm in because I am a kid who grew up in the Scream generation. Like I grew up in the 80s loving slasher films, but seeing Scream in theaters when it came out, I was just telling the story the other day. It was like our first semester in college, went back home to see my high school friends, went to go see this scary movie that was probably going to be stupid, but we all wanted to go see a movie. And then we're blown away because it was this movie that managed to both comment on the slasher horror genre in a really interesting meta way, while at the same time being a really great slasher film. And Scream has kind of carried that through all of its movies. I do think it is worth noting that Scream 4, which was Sydney's niece, I think, was there trying to continue the franchise after 1, 2, and 3, made $95 million worldwide. Scream 5 made $138 million and Scream 6 made $169 million. So this idea that the 5 and 6 were like, oh, people had their issues with it, but Scream 5 and 6, 100% from a box office standpoint, revived that franchise. And while Shannon doesn't really like those movies, what I thought was interesting about them is they actually managed to figure out a way to sort of reboot the reboot of Scream. Like by making the main characters not tied to Sidney Prescott, but more tied to Billy Loomis, by sort of inverting a lot of the expectations, they managed to do what Scream 3 and Scream 4 kind of didn't manage to do. My issue with Scream 7 is, for all of the reasons that are very well known about why they didn't continue with the sister storyline, because they decided not to continue with one actress for reasons, and then Jenna Ortega was like, F that, I'm out, and they've sort of gone back to the Sidney Prescott thing. Am I going to go see Sidney Prescott and her daughter fight Ghostface? 100% I am. Am I less interested in, oh, it's Sidney and now it's Sidney's daughter, which feels very, very expected? Yeah, I am. Like, one of the other things I loved about 5 and 6 is, in addition to being Billy Loomis, Scream 5 really goes through the beats of the first Scream movie. Scream 6 takes those characters and puts them in college in the same way that Scream 2 did. And I was really interested to see what they were going to do with Scream 7 and kind of how do you reference Scream 3, which is not the best of the franchise, but with the whole movie within a movie. And there was a bunch of things that I was like, these guys are on it. Like, these guys are doing really interesting things with Scream, which is amazing this far into the franchise. Scream 7 is what you would expect a franchise to do at its 7th movie. That being said, I will go see Scream movies until I am dead. I don't even care. Like, they could get real bad, and it could be Sidney Prescott in the retirement home with some old guy being like, do you like scary movies? And I will be like, oh, what's Ghostface gonna do this time? So am I in? Yes. Am I less excited about this than the potential Scream 7 we could have gotten? Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. The way that Scream 5 did connect with part of the fan base. Like, it didn't necessarily connect with me. Like, I do like Jenna Ortega and I like Melissa Barrera. But in terms of the sister storyline, I thought the idea that she was the illegitimate daughter, not illegitimate daughter, she was the secret daughter of Billy Loomis. I'm like, oh, that's a really interesting idea. And I don't feel like that really carried over into Scream 6, like, at all. And as much as I like Radio Silence and what they did with Ready or Not, I feel like Scream 5 and Scream 6 are on the lower end of their filmography. I mean, I thought Abigail was, again, a great idea that was not as good as Ready or Not, but I enjoyed more than Scream 5 and Scream 6. The whole idea, because it was Scream 6 that Nev Campbell did not come back for. Was it Scream 5 or Scream 6? It was a pay dispute.
Yeah.
The fact that they are going back to her, I mean, I don't know how you do Scream without Sidney Prescott. So I mean, is this movie going to be good? I don't know. I mean, Kevin Williamson was a writer of the time in the 90s. Is him behind the camera? Is he going to be able to recapture what made that movie so magical? Maybe. I mean, Wes Craven does get some of the credit there. But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, also, I want to say that the first two Screams both came out in December. Scream 3 came out in February. So the fact that Scream 7 is also coming out in February, we'll see what happens.
And here's what loving a franchise is like. Like, I think Scream 4 is worse than Scream 3, but I even like Scream 4. Like, but Scream 3, as ridiculous as it is, Parker Posey playing the actress who is going to play Gale Weathers, going and investigating the murders with Gale Weathers, is one of the most brilliant things in all 7 movies. And as much as Scream 3 is kind of ridiculous, it's worth watching for Parker Posey alone. Like, it is 100% worth it. And even Scream 4, like I said, which doesn't, I think you could see the long and the toothness of the franchise in Scream 4, still has some great beats and some great kills and a great opening. I do think that they did kind of lock in with 5 and 6 on, oh, this is how you can continue Scream without Sidney Prescott. But like I said, Nev Campbell is this generation's Jamie Lee Curtis. She is our Scream queen, and I will ride and die with her until the very end.
But I think that's what I liked about this trailer. It doesn't feel like it's doing any kind of cameos for cameo's sake, any kind of cutesy moments like for Parker Posey stuff. Like, it's not fucking with any of that. It's like straightforward Godzilla versus Kong. Let's fucking go. And so I kind of like that. I kind of like that it's a drag.
I think there's no more cameos because everybody's dead.
Possibly.
Scream 7 comes out February 27th, and that brings us to our last trailer, something that knocked the socks, at least off of the 3 of us. We get our final look at the final season of Stranger Things, set to an incredible Queen song. You get to see the epicness of what the Duffer Brothers have had in mind for 5 seasons. I'll throw it over to Johnny right away here. Ooh. What did you think of our final look at the final season of Stranger Things?
Fucking loved it. Absolutely loved it. Loved this trailer. I crying by the end of the trailer. Like, I was really emotional watching this trailer. You can sense, like, we're going to lose some people possibly, and it's going to be epic, and people are going to deal with this loss. And I feel like 11 is going to sacrifice herself, because that's her lot in life, to sacrifice herself for these kids so they remember her forever. Like, I feel like that's, in some people and in some great franchises, that's the storyline. Whether you like it or hate it, that's the storyline. And I wonder if that's what's going to happen here. But I just was so blown away. They definitely, sometimes you watch something, you go, how could they make all this money or put all this money? I don't see it on the screen. You totally see it on the screen throughout this entire trailer. I mean, that ending where sucking Will in like a fucking tractor beam, that was very awesome. And Vecna, what is this idea? Help me one more time. Did Will unwillingly help him in the past? Has Will been helping him without knowing? Like, there's all kinds of things and questions that I have here, but the epicness is what really comes through from top to bottom. And also topicality. They have a military taking over a city to control what goes in and out of a city. I mean, we're not that fucking far away from that, sadly. And so it's like, to me, there was so much about that appealed to me as well. So visually, emotionally, and message-wise, I think this thing absolutely nailed it, and I can't wait to see what we're going to get. And as I said, I will drive up if we're going to get tickets to go see a finale in the theater, because I would love to experience it with you guys in person for sure.
Mikey, our original 5, 11, Mike, Will, Dustin, Lucas. who's not making it out?
I don't know. I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, I care obviously, but like, I trust them to tell the best story possible. I think we probably will lose some people, but I spend less time wondering about who, what the body count is going to be, and more just like, what's the satisfying conclusion to the story? I mean, to be fair to the military, hell literally ripped out of the bottom of the town. Like, I don't want the National Guard showing up in LA or Portland. When hell rips itself up, I expect the military to show up.
I guess.
And also, the military comes with Linda Hamilton in this version, and I'm never going to say no to Linda Hamilton showing up when things get dicey. I'm super, super excited. I was watching a couple reviews, people talking about the trailer on a couple of the other geek sites, and they were saying, oh, I love this and I'm excited, but maybe they should have stopped with season 1. It was never quite the same and it was perfect. And I just think what the Duffer Brothers and Netflix have been able to do with this franchise, look, we all get it. It takes way too long between seasons. The kids are all way older than they should be. Like, there's a bunch of things we can make fun of. But the excitement and the hype and the expectation of this story and the way this story has grown over time and the way that they have continued to add characters each season that are as interesting, compelling, and talented as that original cast that they had at the beginning. It's just an impressive feat. And the other big complaint that comes around sometimes with Stranger Things is that it's just a bunch of member berries, like it's nostalgia. And yeah, absolutely. For the three of us watching Stranger Things, it is a little bit of a greatest hits list of every movie that we loved growing up.
Right.
But it's not just that. They took all the ingredients of basically every movie I could list when we were kids, but what came out of it is something wholly original and new and unique. And even the way that we've built this up to the point that we get a Thanksgiving release of season 5, a day after Christmas release of season 5, and then a finale on New Year's. And I don't even think that's shitty. I'm giving it to them. I'm super into it. I think the thing that I'm most curious about is the Will Vecna connection. I do think that the Duffer Brothers have basically said, we're going to find out what basically went down with Will in the Upside Down in season 1, and really what the Upside Down is and what that connection between Will and Vecna is. I think, look, Vecna was a real sensitive little boy before he went full evil, and Will is dealing with his coming out process and his crush on his best friend, Mike. I have to believe that there's some kind of connection there that's going to be really interesting. But honestly, that trailer, I mean, you see the tunnels from season 2, the Upside Down from season 1. Like, they've taken bits of every single season. Every character is going to get their moment. Like, I really think this is a epic ending that I'm not even questioning whether or not they're going to stick the landing. I am just here for the ride, and I can't wait for the 3 bites of that finale that we're going to get.
Yeah.
So Stranger Things season 5, we get 4 episodes Thanksgiving weekend, 3 on Christmas, and 1 on New Year's Eve. I'll be very curious about the theatrical release of the finale. Does it start on the 31st? How far is it going? Because I imagine we will all want to watch it toot sweet, but I would also like to watch it in the theater first.
Yeah.
I would literally, like, if it was we're doing this January 1st, I would not drink on New Year's and go to bed early just so that I am up and refreshed and ready. Like, that's how I'll be like, what are you doing for New Year's? I'm going to go to bed at 10. Going to bed at 10. I'm not even staying up. I'm going to just go to sleep because I got Stranger Things in the theater on New Year's Day.
I just got a flash from Anchorman where Ron Burgundy goes, I don't believe you.
That's okay. Gabay's probably listening to this on his morning hike right now, and he just rolled his eyes, so it's fine.
All right, so we'll see. Thank you, Shannon, for those trailers. We'll see what happens when they come out and our feelings about them when we finally get to watch them on screen. But let's move on to things that have actually gone on screen, both TV and film. We're going to hit a couple of reviews here. We're going to talk first about It. Derry, welcome to Derry, episode 1 here. We got quite an interesting little story that was told to us. We got introduced to a bunch of characters, including this young kid right at the beginning, Maddie, and what goes on with him and that little demon baby I just saw. We meet these 2 kids who are friends of Maddie and feel guilty about what happened. We meet the girl who might be interested in Maddie and what happens with her. We go to a theater and see what happens to Maddie and how it affects things go down. And then we also meet Jovanadepo's character and what is going down on this military base with B-52s and whatever. And of course, we also get some Mean Girls involved in this as well. But in the end, just basically, this was a surprise. By the way, it's a spoiler review. So if you haven't watched it, we're going to spoil some things. This was
a spoiler review. Half of them die.
Yeah, in my opinion, I like this episode. I really enjoy. I want to go first here. I enjoyed this episode. I liked what we got here as an introduction. I was hesitant to walk back into this world because all of this is not in the book. A lot of this is not in the books. They're just kind of adding to all this kind of stuff. And I like the way it worked. I like the casting, especially the main girl. I thought she was fantastic, and I like that she survived because I'm going to be curious to see what journey they put her through. But the way they use the voices, the Maddie stuff, the demon baby, the stuff with the Music Man, a nice way to turn a musical into a horror situation, and the way that whole final scene went down, all of it really worked for me. And they touched on some of the stuff with what it's like to be Black at this time in America in these certain situations, talking about her father was raked over the coals, thinking he was responsible for the death of a white child. And then this guy getting attacked here at the base, Jovanadepo's character getting attacked. What is the information that they want to get? And are these guys the racist guys that we got introduced beating him up? So there was a lot here that I really liked. And then I thought it was ballsy to kill half the fucking cast at the end of the first episode. So Michael, your thoughts on this one? What'd you think of this episode?
It's interesting. I think that probably my thoughts on this episode are colored a little bit by It Chapter 2, the movie. It is probably one of my favorite Stephen King novels. And we just talked about Stranger Things. Stranger Things owes a whole lot to it, as well as all of the Amblin movies and 80s movies. Like the It kids, that group of losers that have to face the unfaceable and fight a monster. I mean, I think in season 1 of Stranger Things, they get the Demogorgon with a slingshot. That is 100% directly from Stephen King's It. And so I think the whole idea of this group of kids, the losers, and my feelings about It Chapter 1 and particularly It Chapter 2 is, while it did a good job of telling the story of the movie and a better job than a lot of Stephen King movies do, I always felt like it was missing a little something. And so watching It Welcome to Derry, I really did enjoy it. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it did a lot of really cool things, particularly killing half the cast in the first episode. But it still did leave me. I think what it really is for me is that Pennywise is hard to be as scary as Stephen King makes Pennywise. That no matter what, give me a weird flying mutant baby, and I'm like, yeah, that looks cool, but like it doesn't terrify me the way reading that book when I was younger did. So that's probably on me. That's probably something nobody could quite do. That being said, I do think the show is doing a lot of things right and setting up some really cool things. I think subverting the expectations, giving us a entire pilot where we go, okay, this is the 27 years ago version of the losers. This is our new cast. And then wiping that cast clean, almost clean, like wiping that cast in half by the end of the episode. That's pretty bold. Like that's a bold move. And I give them a lot of credit for that. I think also as Stephen King fans, they're doing some interesting things. Like one of the characters we see early on, Halloran, is actually the guy from The Shining.
Right. Yes.
And so they're taking elements of other Stephen King novels, which Stephen King does. I mean, Stephen King, not all of his novels connect, but most of his novels kind of broadly fall into a connected universe. He was doing connected universes in his novels way before Marvel did it in theaters. And so I do like that they're sort of taking some of these other elements and other characters. Some people even think what the military is doing in Derry might be tied to Dreamcatcher and aliens, because Pennywise is kind of in the books an alien creature that kind of planted himself in Derry. So I think that the fact that they're kind of leaning into some of those things is going to be really interesting. I also think John is right. I love that they're touching on race and what it would be like being a Black man in Derry in this era and time. I'm curious to see how far they push it. I do know they mentioned the Black Spot, which is a bar that Black soldiers can go to and hang out in Derry. And we know from the novels and the movies that the Black Spot 27 years ago was destroyed in a big fire that was kind of racially motivated, and Pennywise was there. And there's things that we know that we're going to see that I'm curious. Usually this is the John Rocha refrain, but I'm curious how far they go. I really want to see how far they push the envelope into race, or if they sort of play it safe. Because I would really love to see, one of the things that's really compelling about Pennywise as an entity is, as scary as he is, especially when every 27 years when he starts feeding,
Mm.
His existence makes Derry a dirty place.
Yeah.
That in any era, in any town in this era, race would be an issue. There would be things that you would deal with. But in Derry, because of Pennywise's existence, it's worse, it's dirtier, it's darker, it's more evil. And so usually, like I said, this is the John Rocha thing, but when it comes to Pennywise and It and adapting a Stephen King novel, I actually do want things to get pretty fucked up. And again, like I said, killing half those kids was pretty fucked up. So I'm curious to see where it goes. I know we have the second episode kind of out now as you guys are all listening to this.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see how they sort of pick up the threads from the first episode and how we see even the poster, this was super cool. The poster leading up to the show was the kids that we saw in the pilot. And as soon as the pilot aired, it's the exact same poster with 3 of the kids switched out with the other kids. And I'm like, all right, well, so let's see how this goes. But yeah, so I think I'm compelled, and maybe it's a Muschietti thing. I don't know. I'm always a little bit like, this was good, but it could have been great. And that's kind of how I felt coming out of this, but I'm still compelled enough to be excited to see what comes next.
All right, Shannon, your thoughts?
Overall, I thought it was a really good start. I thought that the beginning of the movie and Maddie trying to sneak out and Ronnie helping him out, like I thought this is a nice setting. This is really nice laying of the groundwork. When Maddie gets into that station wagon, I found the family to be so much more frightening than the CG baby.
Yeah.
I think in Muschietti's career, CG babies, whether they be mutants,
he really needs
or
to
regular,
stay away from CG babies.
I think maybe we pull back on that, because even the end when the bigger mutant baby showed up, it was kind of like, okay, yeah. I mean, I think there's something so much scarier about a person than a CG creation in this instance. It was interesting because for the most part, the kids I didn't love.
Why are you so hard on kids, man?
I get it.
You're very hard on the young actors, man.
I mean, I'm not raking them over the coals. I'm saying that directing kids is tough.
Yeah.
And when you have a kid in a TV show, if you are shooting it chronologically, which most TV shows do, in terms of episode order, you see the kids get better and better and better. The kid who played Phil, it should not be a surprise that the kid who's making the corny jokes is someone that I respond to. But also, I thought he was.
Wow.
I thought he was the best. Teddy, I was like, Teddy, I didn't love Lily. I don't love Ronnie. But by the end, the fact that, I think as Western audiences, we're kind of conditioned to think that there's going to be some losses, but ultimately the good guys are going to win. And then thinking about the history of what the book is and what the franchise is going to be is like, oh no, Pennywise is going to win here. And of course, with winning, there's going to be some victims. So the fact that like my wife and I were literally just jaw on the ground, like, oh my God, did they just kill all those kids? I mean, the fact that you introduce heroes that we are supposed to connect to, and then you off them and they are children. Yeah. I mean, that is a pretty bold move. Jovan Adepo, I am a huge, huge fan of. And I actually got to watch a little bit of the second episode, and he is just one of those actors that I feel has that sort of indefinable quality. Like he just has that, he just has a magnetism to him.
Is it because he's an adult or no? Is it like if he was a kid,
he was a kid, Shannon would be like, get him out of here.
Jovan or don't. You know what I'm saying? Anyway,
Happy Halloween. Rocha's not giving out candy and Shannon hates kids.
I am giving out candy.
I have a follow-up, but I can't record it because not everyone has watched episode 2 yet.
Fair enough.
But I mean, in terms of the performers, super into all of them. I'll be curious to see how Pennywise manifests, how it manifests throughout the series. Because again, the mutant baby, I didn't think that was the most effective. I want to see Bill Skarsgård, which I know we're going to get, but I also want to see those human manifestations that it becomes.
Yeah, I think you hit something really that I hadn't gotten to, Shannon, which I think is great. Is this idea that Muschietti said this too in that document mini doc they did after the episodes. By the way, Barbara Muschietti should talk about everything. I thought she was engaging as hell. I would love to hear her talk about more about, like, I would love to sit down with her and go like, okay, what happened with the Flash? Let's talk about the Flash. Let's talk about all these things. Because she really comes across as someone who's on top of all this stuff and understands what it takes to create the things that they're creating. And to me, the idea, what Andy said though, was about the idea of the human beings are just as bad as the monsters. And Michael, you were alluding to this with the John Rocha portion of your conversation, saying like, are we going to see that? Yes, Pennywise is scary and bad, but it's all these other people who are also just as horror-like in the things that they're doing to people of color, to women, to young, like all this kind of stuff. Are we going to get that explored here in the show? So I hope they do, because I think that's some of the great horror that shows you that human beings, especially in the zombie genre, like human beings are just as bad, if not worse than anything the zombies are doing, because the zombies are mindless. They just need to eat. The human beings are consciously doing the things that they're doing, horrible things they're doing to people. And so I like that there's always that mixture. And I like that, that they're pissing off some of these anti-woke fuckers who are crying about it already. So to me, this is great. I love it.
But I do like the two things that I will say about, and I think what'll be interesting to see how they navigate it is the one thing is exactly what we're all saying. And this is even a problem with It, the novel. Like Pennywise the clown is scary.
Yes.
At the end of the novel, when Pennywise is a giant monster, it's less scary. Like once it's, this is just a truth of all horror and tension. Like the monster you can't see is infinitely scarier than the monster you can. So once you see the monster, you go, okay, that looks cool, but I'm not scared anymore. And so I also agree, like with Shannon, the family in the car saying horrible things is, and that girl like putting her fingers in the liver and the whole, like all of that was horrifying. Then the baby came out and started flapping around and I'm like, yeah, it's a baby. It's a flappy baby. And so it'll be interesting to see how they maintain that. The other thing, particularly with the military there, and this is one of the things that the Duffer Brothers took through Stranger Things all the way, and it's one of my favorite things. It's Stephen King says this in the novel It. He says a kid is more capable of fighting a monster or the Wolfman than an adult is. Because a kid's reality can sort of encompass all that. A kid goes, okay, silver bullet, I got it, stake through the heart. An adult's reality is so rigid that they would probably go crazy before they were like, how do we fight this monster? And I always liked that. That's why in Derry, Pennywise fed on children, but ultimately it was children and not adults who took him down. Adults aren't capable of it. So the fact that we have the military here and these adults, but we also have these kids who are going to be our new version of the losers, it'll be interesting to see if they can balance that. I would love to see a military that is incapable of dealing with a Pennywise, but kids who are. And ultimately, like we know these kids aren't ultimately going to be successful because the kids who actually defeat him are 27 years away. But those elements and those ideas, I think, are really essential to telling a really good It story.
Yeah, let me ask you one question, Michael. As a Jewish person on our show here, what did you think about what did you think about them referencing the Holocaust and the lampshades? I mean, that's real stuff. Like, was that a bit of a cheap usage of that story, or do you think that worked for what they were doing, especially because they end up killing the kid off by the end?
No, I thought, I mean, my opinion on that is, again, real horror works when there's something real about it. A Jewish kid who is tortured because he's afraid of a monster under the bed or he watched a mummy movie is like, okay, cool. A kid could be scared of those things.
Universal.
But when your parents tell you about what happened in the Holocaust and then Pennywise uses that fear against you, that's more grounding. You actually remind me, I got in a fight with my sister years and years and years ago when the first X-Men movie came out. Because the opening of the X-Men movie famously is a young Magneto in a concentration camp. And then, he uses his powers and it does the whole thing. And my sister was like, I don't think they should use the Holocaust. I don't think you should use it. And I'm like, as an X-Men fan, I'm like, that is literally why Magneto does what he does. So I think using those real horrors and those ties to the atrocities of real life that do scare us, that's fair game in horror because that's what makes it feel in the same way that we want them to touch on race and we want them to touch on these other things. I think this is the same thing. I'm sure that there are Jewish people out there that probably found that offensive or felt that there's certain things that you shouldn't bring up. But to me, I think that is a thing that as a Jewish kid, you would be horrified by. So I think that is valid.
Yeah. All right. Fair. Just wanted to ask. Any final words on this before we move on to Frankenstein? Shannon or Mike? Any finals? All right. All right, we're moving on. Let's move on to Frankenstein. Let's talk about this one here from director Guillermo del Toro. That's the guy you see right there directing Oscar Isaac here. This one starring Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein. Jacob Elordi as his monster. Mia Goth is in this one as well, and the great Christoph Waltz is a part of this. Basically, a retelling of the franchise of the Frankenstein story with some Christian references, some Gothic references, and stuff of that nature. But a really great exploration, in my opinion, of fathers and sons, creator versus creation, and the idea of having to go forward and live even though the world is a completely fucked up place. What an incredible message to mix into all the other messages that are already part of the original Frankenstein tale. So, Michael, your thoughts? What did you think of this movie from Guillermo del Toro?
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
What, am I saying it wrong?
No. Well, I was going to tell you a story now. Shannon and I went to go see this at the New Art last week.
Okay.
So we could see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for the movie, but like I'm really focused on it, and the movie's getting ready to start. There's some trailers on the screen, the packed theater, sold out audience, and Shannon leans over and he goes, "Do you think Del Toro wishes his movies were on more screens?" And I don't know what happened in my brain, but I just looked at him. I was like, he's like, "Do you think Del Toro wanted it to be on more screens?" And I just stared at him confused, and I was like, "Benicio?"
Oh my God.
And he looked at me and he was like,
God.
"Guillermo." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And he goes, I don't know if you were serious or if that was a bit. And I was like, "No, I got to be honest with you. I don't know why. You said Del Toro and I just thought of Benicio." And I was like, "Why is Shannon talking about one battle after another right now? It was on plenty of screens. We're here for Frankenstein." And then I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with me that I forgot the fucking director that we're here to see?" I don't know. It was a thing. And so all week long, we keep sending each other messages where I'm like, "Benicio?" Because I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me.
I think it's great that you have two Del Toros to be confused by that are
you know what?
That's
Two great Del Toros, both so great that I would get confused. Speaking of the proper Del Toro, I think what's great, I loved this Frankenstein.
Yeah,
like, I think Shannon and I, but we got out of the movie and we were both like, that was a fucking movie. Like it is a feast for the eyes. It feels like the kind of movie that we just don't make anymore. Mm-hmm. It's very, in a way that like, it's very, I don't want to say slow, but it takes its own pace. It doesn't feel like it's trying to like keep up with other movies or like barrel through stuff. Like the score, the language of it, just all of it just feels very old school in the best possible way. And Guillermo del Toro, what I'll say about it is Guillermo del Toro is a softie.
Yes.
Like for someone who has made his bones doing some horror and creature features and all of these like amazing sort of weird things, like the dude is a softie. He wants to tell positive, uplifting stories about life with just really creepy looking things in them.
Yeah.
And this version of Frankenstein, where it sort of departs from the original in a lot of ways, is mostly in really almost schmaltzy ways, but he sells it because he's that good as a director.
Yeah.
Like there are moments, particularly at the end, where you're like, in a lesser director's hands, this would be a roll my eyes a little bit moment. But because he is so genuine as a storyteller, you are all on board. I thought Oscar Isaac was amazing. Jacob Elordi, as I said when we watched the trailer, does not disappoint. Even as a assembled dead man, his hotness shines through and his talent shines through. Like I was unprepared for the level of performance I was going to get out of the creature in a Frankenstein movie. It's just big and bold and gothic and visually stunning and beautiful and moving. Like I can't say enough about it. I was so taken with this movie. I literally can't wait to watch it again when it's on Netflix.
Shannon.
Again, I think Vogel already put it, like this was a movie. This was operatic. And it felt like when movies started being made initially, the craft of film acting was really taking its cues from the theater. So things were bigger, they were a little more presentational, as especially like when we get to the 70s, things start to become more real and more naturalistic. And this one leans into that older style of acting in all the best ways possible. I mean, Oscar Isaac is incredible. The way that he is able to go as broad as he does, but it is still rooted in a realism. I wish he would get nominated for an award for this. I mean, I don't think he's going to get nominated.
Maybe
for
just a recipient.
Maybe he's going to be a recipient.
You know what?
I do think he could get nominated for a Golden Globe. I think I think that's definitely in the cards. But everything about it, I mean, the epicness, the scale, the vision that Guillermo del Toro had, you just feel everything, and it does move at its own pace. I mean, it's a longer movie. It doesn't fly by like that. You feel like you were on the journey, but by the end of the movie, you're so even. And like, I went and saw it a second time. I went and saw it at the IMAX at the Chinese, and that is the way to see that movie. On the biggest screen possible. Jacob Elordi, the only thing I know him from is Saltburn. Like I don't watch Euphoria. He is incredible. Again, the amount of humanity that he brings, but also the danger and the chaos that is inside this creature that does not know what it is. And also, again, not like I've never read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I've seen several versions of the film. Okay. For me at least, the dimension that they gave Victor in this made him such a fascinating character. I mean, terrific supporting cast. Charles Dance, I was sad to see go as quickly as he went, but finding out how Victor is molded as a person and how that is how he becomes who he becomes as an adult. It was so well done. The action, which we didn't get a ton of, the action is incredible. Watching the creature brutal people around, it is the most cathartic, satisfying thing. And to Vogel's point, the gore, I mean, this is Guillermo gore. And every part of it works, and every part of it is just, again, this is a movie that's made for the theaters, and I hope as many of you as you can get to a theater to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it before you guys, and I came out of it and I texted everybody. I was like, this is amazing. And I didn't know, sometimes I see movies and I get caught up in like the greatness of them because they appeal to me in so many ways. And I'm kind of hard on Guillermo sometimes because I don't think all of his stuff really nails it, like Crimson Peak and other stuff. They don't quite get there. But when he finds his groove, like Pan's Labyrinth or The Shape of Water, he's really fantastic. And this is the most Guillermo movie that you're ever going to see. And Mike, you alluded to it. Like, there's this great mixture of really emotional, touching moments. That end moment between Frankenstein and his monster, I was in tears in that end moment. It was so well done, mixed in with the blood and the gore. There's no sparing of the death and the blood. Even the death of Waltz is just this boom, this massive puddle of blood that's down there. He does not shirk his responsibility in showing you the body horror of this stuff. But he also mixes in, which I'm going to say is the Latino struggle of religion and the goth and the battle of the Gothic. Like, there's this struggle here. He even turns him, as I said, he turns him into this Christ-like figure, this second Adam, so to speak, and puts us, it lets us go through the journey that Guillermo is going through in this conversation about it. Like, because religion is such a massive part of the construction of a lot of Latino countries. It's like this idea of Christ. What does it mean? What's your responsibility to it? So to bring that in here and have that laced throughout, and you have a Victor who is a completely different Frankenstein than we've ever seen. Yes, we've seen passionate Frankensteins. We've seen mad scientist Frankensteins, but this was someone who was like, with a skip in his step into his passion. Like he was driven, but he was also like cocky and arrogant, but charming at the same time. It was fascinating to see what Oscar Isaac did with it. And to me, I didn't feel it was a slow movie because I was caught up with what Oscar was doing. I was like, well, what's next? Where are we going? And then Elordi's performance, this should be nominated for an Oscar. This should absolutely be nominated for Best Supporting Actor. To see where he goes from this gangly, baby-like child to where he becomes, as he grows, especially that scene with the blind older guy, what happens in the cabin there, and then later when he's confronting Lars Mikkelsen and other on the boat, It's all so good. And the battle with him and his dad, like it's just a creator rather. It's all so good. My only complaint is Mia Goth. That's my only complaint. I thought she was A, miscast, and B, wasn't in enough of the movie for it to have an effect with what happens to her. Even though they switched it from the book, I think they should of who shot her. I think it should have been something a bit more weightier, and the brother too. Oof, I thought that was a waste of time. But the Christoph Waltz stuff was great, and Charles Dance stuff, as you said, Shannon, was fantastic as well.
Yeah, we talked about this. We were texting about it afterwards. I really, in Mia Goth's first scene, I was like, "Ooh, I don't know about this." I think she got better. She grew on me. I don't disagree about her being the weak link. I actually can't decide not to watch it again.
Yeah.
Was she the weak link because she was miscast, or was she the weak link because that role was underwritten? If that role had been meatier and she had had more to play, would she have risen up, or would she still have been like, you're not quite the right fit? It's probably a little bit of both, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I do agree that, like, I understand the role that character plays, but when everyone else is just
right
in the rafters, she's doing what the role requires, but everyone else is up here. The one thing I did want to add about Oscar Isaac's performance, because Shannon and I were talking about this afterwards, is, you used a lot of adjectives to describe this version of Victor, but the one that you didn't use is he's a dick. Like Victor Frankenstein is an arrogant piece of shit.
I said arrogant.
but it's beyond just arrogant. Like, he has certain traits and he has certain moments in ways that he responds to things that I'm like, you're kind of not a good person.
Right. Well, yes, right.
And in another actor's hands, I would have really disliked him. Oscar Isaac is unlikable, but also charming and magnetic at the same time, that you are repulsed by certain things that he does while you are at the same time drawn to him in a way that I found completely captivating as I was watching it. And I think his performance, and there are also moments when we talk about the operatic nature of this, where I'm watching the way that he's responding and he's acting so over the top.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there going, this should be silly. Like, this shouldn't work. Like,
right.
he is acting, like the whole, like every actor knows this, but like when you're on stage, you act for the back of the balcony, but when you're on film, you keep it all inside because the camera's going to pick up every nuance. I'm watching a movie where Oscar Isaac is acting for the exit row behind the balcony, but I'm still like, I am into this right now. So I do think Mia Goth was also just sort of, you have Christoph Waltz, Jacob Elordi, and Oscar Isaac, and you're like, look, that you gotta really bring the heat. And I don't disagree with you that the heat was not brought in.
I mean, imagine if that's Florence Pugh. It would have been amazing, but I think there was a reason why. I think,
doing her Yelena Belova accent.
You shot me in the stomach. I would have liked to have, I think there's a reason, because he was having trouble casting that. A few actresses walked away from it, or didn't want to do it because I think they sensed that it was an underwritten role, and so they wanted something more. So, but Mia's still building, so good on Mia to get it. No problem with there at all. But I agree. I mean, and I think what you said, Michael's really, really well put. Like, he's not a guy you necessarily like, but you find yourself charmed by him despite him. He's trying to steal his brother's wife or intended woman, like right underneath his nose. He is trying to steal his brother's fiance there. And even at the end, still gets jealous of his own monster for having that she has a connection with his own creation. There's that kind of thing as an element of him. But by the end, when he's laying there asking for forgiveness, you buy it because you've bought the journey that he's been on. You've seen him fall apart from the cocky, arrogant young man who thinks he knows everything to the wizened old man who's been through hell and realized that he made a massive mistake in his arrogance in creating this and his responsibility. And I can't remove, again, the Christian references. And I wonder if, in a way, Del Toro is commenting on God through Frankenstein, the arrogance of God to create this, and then, to create all this madness and create all this sadness. But we as humans have to move forward. We weren't asked to be born, but we were in this world, but we have to keep moving forward. And I thought that was a surprisingly positive message to get out of such madness throughout the whole movie,
Yeah, look, God creates man.
Yeah.
God gets mad and pissy because man does not live up to his expectations and doesn't do what he wants.
Right.
God gets shitty and punishes man. And ultimately God says, hey, we cool, live your life. Like
New
that,
covenant.
that is,
Yeah.
there's the Bible. I just gave you the Bible. That's the Cliff's Notes. And that is also the Cliff's Notes for Frankenstein.
Yeah, 100%. Shannon, any final stuff you want to say? You want to make sure you highlight we missed?
So Mia Goth is a grown-up actress, so I thought she was great. I don't know what your guys' issue is.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
So she did not bother me to the level that she bothered you guys. I mean, I don't disagree that with the limited amount of story real estate that she had, could a different performer have brought more life to it? That's certainly possible. But in terms of what she got, she didn't detract from the movie. I do think the casting of the brother, and again, there's also that story real estate issue. Like William isn't asked to do that much.
Right.
Could a different actor have brought more to that? Judi Dench won a Best Supporting Actress award, and she was on screen like 8 minutes for Shakespeare in Love. So there are performers that can take the smallest amount of screen time and make something huge. So was there a performer out there that could have done that? Maybe. But in terms of just the character of Victor, the lack of accountability that he has throughout the movie, being capped off with Elizabeth's death. I mean, that was just, the moment was just so incredible. And then watching the monster slowly break his nose and the blood pours out like a spigot. I mean, the movie is just so effective. And I think this is going to be like, I'm glad that it's going to be on streaming, because this is one you can go back to and watch portions and just fall in love. I mean, the moment that Victor's lab is coming to life, like Vogel knew, like that type of set piece, that is my bread and butter. Like when you see that
giant machines in a castle, Shannon is just like in heaven.
I'm happy. And then you got the snow outside. That's something for John. And you
have
shirtless Jacob Elordi. You got something for Vogel.
I got two hotties running around a castle, and I don't even know where to look.
But Christoph Waltz, I mean, I know we've talked about him a little bit, but again, this is a performer, like obviously incredibly skilled, multi Academy Award winner. I wish we would see more of him because he just brings so much. And his death scene between him and Martin Sheen in The Departed, it is very clear that people are just bags of goo. And if you drop us from high enough, we are going to explode.
Yeah.
But I do think Christoph Waltz does the thing that you were talking about with Judi Dench. It's not that he doesn't have the hugest part in the movie. Right. He has a bigger part than the brother, but he really makes the most of his time on screen. Like you're just like, you are captivated by him. And I do think, just to circle back on Mia Goth, I do think, as you were talking about it, I think the difference is she does her job. John said she maybe wasn't up to it. I think she does do her job for what her role was supposed to accomplish. And I do sympathize, because I do think that role is underwritten a bit. But in a movie where she's just doing her job and everyone else is just at this other elevated place, not the brother, but Christoph Waltz, Jacob Elordi, and Oscar Isaac, I just think it suffers by comparison.
What's a shame, because Felix Kammerer, who plays the brother, he was great as the lead in All Quiet on the Western Front. That's an amazing film. And he was phenomenal in the journey they took him through, from wide-eyed German national who wants to join the military to PTSD suffering, seasoned, broken man by the end of the movie. So he can do it. I think this is yet another role in the film that was underwritten as well, where he could have had more time to shine.
It's just like, what's his face? The brother on Alien Earth.
Oh,
like he was one of the highlights of season 1 of Andor.
Yeah.
His whole manifesto gets quoted on, he was bringing the heat on that. And then you got to Alien Earth and you're like, you didn't quite. It's interesting how you can watch these actors and you're like, is it the director? Is it the relationship behind the camera? Is it the material? Like, what is it that's not quite clicking? Because there's absolutely actors that we all agree, you're like, you're just not that great. But the ones that are really shining bright in one piece of work that you're like, I really responded, and then you see them somewhere else, it's always interesting to be like, what happened here?
Yeah, they're usually children in Shannon's mind.
Well,
But
yeah, those kids that Shannon hates.
we might be in a second golden age for Del Toro. If you look at Shape of Water, Nightmare Alley, Pinocchio, and Frankenstein, those are 4 very, very good films. I thought Nightmare Alley was incredible. So I think he's kind of gone into another age, another level here as an older creator, getting a chance to do the things that he wants to do. And he's finding that Pinocchio was fucking stellar, man. So
I'm gonna say something that is sacrilegious for an 80s kid, and particularly at Halloween when a lot of us are watching Nightmare Before Christmas. I kind of think Guillermo del Toro is just Tim Burton for grown-ups. I think Tim Burton, all love, and I'm enjoying the hell out of Wednesday as a TV series, but Tim Burton reached that point where you're like, are you not able to do the thing that I loved you doing before? Because you're not doing it, and I would like you to do it, but what's happening? And meanwhile, to your point, you just went down those, Shape of Water, Nightmare Alley, the animated Pinocchio, and this, and you're like, well, you're giving me the darkness, but the heart, but the weirdness. Like, you're giving me all the things as an adult in a very adult movie that I got as a kid with Beetlejuice and Nightmare Before Christmas and all of those things. And I'm just like, you're kind of Tim Burton for grown-ups.
Well, yeah, the quality, I would put his quality way over Tim Burton's quality overall. I would for Del Toro for sure.
Now, Johnny,
yeah.
Before we wrap up, Del Toro question for you,
Guillermo. Guillermo. Yeah.
So
in one battle after another, what was your favorite scene?
Now I kind of want to see Guillermo do the drunk driving moment.
I would like to see Benicio del Toro as the creature. I think putting those two together would have been amazing. But famously, Guillermo del Toro was attached to direct the Hobbit films, and he dropped out because of scheduling. Now you love the Hobbit films. Is Del Toro would his version have been better?
No, when he was attached, he was in the mixed results section of his career, so I would not have been that excited for him to tackle it. Now, if he was to go back and if he was going to do Lord of the Rings now, I'd be fucking thrilled. I'd be fucking thrilled to see what he was going to make. Like, if he could do the Hobbit films, even with the films that so many people don't like from the Lord of the Rings fans, to see Del Toro's version of the Hobbit would be phenomenal. Now, if we were to get a chance to see that, and he could do them animated. I love those classics from the 70s. I got to get those figures when they come out because they're sold out still. I would love to see his version of those animated versions of Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. That would be a lot of fun, to be honest with you. So, yeah. Would you guys, last question, Alexander Desplat did the score. You guys are the score horse. Did you like the score in the movie? Well, it felt epic to me to match what we were seeing on screen.
I can't remember a discernible theme, but that doesn't mean it didn't work. I think it fit for everything that we saw.
Okay.
Yeah, I was waiting for Shannon to respond because he's seen it twice, and I was curious to what he was going to say. I was so taken to your point, and I do want to go back to this. I do think the movie goes at its own pace. I wouldn't say that it's slow. Like, I think I was aware of the fact that it was a long movie, but I was engaged the whole time, and I was so engaged that I'm sitting there. I did the same thing Shannon did. I was like, I guess the score worked because I was in it, but I can't go, what was that theme? Or, what the key to a truly epic score, perfect example is Black Panther. When they go into Wakanda for the first time and that music swells, it's not that the music is just working for the movie. You sit there in the audience and you go, this score is fucking banging right now. You are aware of it. And I didn't have that sensation, but I would have to go back and listen to the score to see. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is what was really working here.
Right on. Okay, what's one to ask that before we wrap up? So 3 thumbs up from us for Frankenstein.
3 enthusiastic thumbs up.
Yeah. You all should, and I think Shannon's right. You should, if you can see it in IMAX, see it in the best screen possible because Guillermo directed it to be seen in the best screen possible. And shout out to Netflix for letting him have 3 weeks in the theaters before they put it there on Netflix. So
if you can see it in a theater at all, IMAX is preferable, but if you can see it in a theater at all, it's supposed to play, I think, through November 7th.
Yeah. And yes, sorry, I wanted to give a quick shout out because it wasn't just the direction, it's also the cinematography of the film, which I think is amazing as well.
Gorgeous.
So I just want to make sure, because there are some shots. Dan Laustsen is the cinematographer. I saw a review where someone said some of the shots made me look away. They were so beautiful. And I agree with 100% on some of that. So, all right, but there you go. That's our special Halloween episode of the Geek Buddies. We hope you enjoyed it. Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's at @geek_buddies. On Instagram, at @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung. On Instagram, it's Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is at MKToon. If you'd like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is at The Rocha Says.
Mikey.
Go ahead and smash that like button below. Subscribe to Johnny's John Rocha page. Check out all the amazing content he has got there. Let us know what you think below. Are you excited for a Mario-connected animated universe? What do you think of Stranger Things? What do you think of Scream? What do you think of Wildwood? What do you think of It, Welcome to Derry? What do you think of Frankenstein? Or if you haven't seen Frankenstein yet and we didn't overspoil it for you, are you excited to go see it? Let us know all of that in the comments below. Then, when you're doing that, go ahead and leave us some stars and comments on the podcast so we go up in the rankings so more people can find us. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies, and have a very, very happy Halloween weekend.
Yeah. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of the
Geek
Buddies!
Hey.